So for the last 2 weeks, we've gone over the components of a computer and what they all do. So I thought this week we'd go over what I have in my computers, why I've chosen them, certain upgrade paths that I plan on taking, and what kind of things I have planned for the future. Hey, what's up everyone? Dimitri of Caddac Gaming here, and today we're going to go over my computers. I have two computers. I have a gaming computer, and then I have a stream computer. Now, originally, my streaming computer was the leftovers from when I upgraded my main computer that I originally built back in 2015. So in 2019, I had upgraded my gaming computer with a Ryzen 3900X and the motherboard included, and I moved the CPU, the motherboard, and the RAM over to a secondary computer, and I used an old graphics card, and I powered that and used that as my streaming rig. Now, the reason I did this is I really enjoyed the flexibility of having a 2PC setup when streaming. I had picked up a capture card and things were working really great. So my gaming computer is a little bit over the top, but I also use it for editing all my videos and doing any kind of productive loads, like when I'm doing 3D rendering for my 3D printer. And basically most of the workload stuff I do is done on the gaming computer, and the streaming computer is mainly just used for when I stream. So the gaming computer has a 3900X at the heart with a Asus Hero X470 motherboard. In terms of memory, I've got two sticks of 16GB 3200 MHz CL16 RAM from Corsair. I got the Corsair Vengeance. Now, I kind of do regret getting the Corsair Vengeance only because the RGBs are entirely blocked by my Darkrock Pro 4 air cooler on the CPU. I do plan on upgrading the CPU and changing my cooler to the NHD15 that I have and putting the Darkrock Pro 4 on the streaming computer. I have my old and trusty 1080 Ti. It is the Gigabyte Waterforce edition, so it is a AIO GPU. I picked this up right before the big Bitcoin and like cryptocurrency mining boom, so I got really lucky with it, and I'm glad that I got the water-cooled one. I got it for the same price as the standard model, and because of it, I've been able to run it at like higher overclocks for a really long time, and the cooling performance has been fantastic. Unfortunately, my original one started to have issues, and I had sent it back to Gigabyte, and when they sent it back, it left on my porch, and one of the porch pirates in the neighborhood, I guess, stole it. Luckily enough, I was able to find someone in the GTA that also had one, but they were getting rid of it because their fan had stopped working, and they just didn't know or have a means to fix it. So I bought it off them pretty cheap, and I just stuck a Be Quiet fan on there, plugged it into the motherboard, and I just have it running at 90 to 100% all the time. You can barely hear it, and that's been my solution for fixing it. I've got an EVGA G2 850 watt power supply. That's from the original build from 2015. It's been serving me really well. I did treat myself and pick up some custom sleeved cables to go along with that, so that really helped make the build colors kind of be a little bit more cohesive, and I think it really helped sprucing up the personality of the computer. Now, I've got a lot of storage. My main OS is on the ADATA XPG SX8200 Pro, 1TB, and then I have a secondary M.2 drive, and that is the ADATA Gamix S11 Pro, and that is a 2TB one that I just recently picked up in the summer, and I throw a lot of games and stuff on there. I have a 2TB Crucial MX300 and a 2TB MX500 from Crucial as 2.5-inch solid-state drives. Those used to be my boot drive and access drive, but when I got the M.2s, those just became excess storage, and I use them for my video editing. I used to have a Samsung 250GB one, but I recently gave that one to my dad for the computer that I kind of Frankenstein together, and he's using that as the boot drive. I also have two 4TB Western Digital black hard drives in there. One of them was from my original build, and then the second one I picked up sometime later. And there is where I store majority of the games when I have a whole bunch of them installed. I hoard data a lot, and most people do not need anywhere near as much storage as I have in my computer, but I do hoard a lot of data. I have a bunch of the video files, I hoard all my stream files, so I have a lot of stuff, and I keep them all spread around everywhere. And all of that is inside the Lian Li 011 Dynamic XL. I waited a very long time for the XL to come out because I wanted to do an air cooler and I didn't want to do an AIO, but I really loved the look of the 011 Dynamic. It finally came out, I picked it up, and I really do enjoy that case. So now if we move to my streaming computer, originally it was the 4790K and the Asus Maximus Hero Formula that I had in my original gaming computer. That had 32GB, 4 sticks of 8GB HyperX RAM, and I decided to upgrade the streaming computer to a CPU with a little bit more cores. So I picked up a 3600 and the Asus Prime X470 motherboard, and 32GB of Corsair LPX RAM. So that's what's going in there right now. 3200 megahertz for that RAM, of course, and it's been running really great. I originally had an old GTX 950 that a friend had given me when I had helped him build his computer, but I've since swapped that out with a 1650 Super that I got pretty cheap secondhand off of someone on Kijiji. And the reason I picked that up is because it has the NVENC encoder, so it really does help with my stream. I use the NVENC for my video recording, and I use the CPU for the stream recording or stream encoding. Now in there I have even more storage. I have four 4TB Western Digital red drives in there. I have two 1TB M.2 Western Digital black SN750s. One of them is the OS, and one of them is where my streams get recorded to while OBS is running, and then I offload those after every stream to one of the hard drives. And the streaming computer is in a very simple Corsair 200R. I picked it up pretty cheap. The airflow is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. I have everything off the floor on a 2-level shelf, and I do have a side intake in for that Corsair 200R so that everything is getting some good fresh airflow. The front is a solid panel, and as you know, that kind of blocks a lot of that airflow that can come in, but it works pretty well. Everything stays pretty cool, and I do have plans to upgrade. So let's go over some of the reasons as to why I built my configurations as they are, and then what I plan on doing going forward. So again, I picked up the 3900X because I did plan on doing a lot of productivity loads like video editing, 3D modeling, just renders in general for the 3D printer. And I really wanted to upgrade from my 4790K without kind of feeling like I was going laterally. It was a great gaming CPU, and it really held its own. I overclocked it, and I had it overclocked for 4 years, and it worked really well. But I thought it was the perfect time to upgrade, and I jumped on the 3900X, and I've been extremely happy with it and its performance. I picked up the Asus Hero motherboard because it was the best, not ridiculously expensive, but not completely budget motherboard. It had a lot of features I like. I have a lot of things plugged into the I/O. All of my USB ports are practically full. They're not all being used at the exact same time, but I don't want to have to reach around my computer to have to plug things in and out all the time. The Wi-Fi, I got the Wi-Fi edition, and I don't use the Wi-Fi, but I do use the built-in Bluetooth that comes with Wi-Fi edition motherboard, so that's been also pretty great. And overall, I really do enjoy the build of the motherboard. Very solid. I really enjoy Asus's BIOS, I've been using it for a very long time. All the computers that I've built myself, this one, the stream computer, my original computer, have all been on Asus motherboards, and I really like the UI of the BIOS. It's really great, and I've gotten really used to it. I just really like Asus motherboards. Now the RAM, the reason I went to 32 gigabytes right away was because I was using 32 gigabytes before when I was doing my video editing. So I thought staying at 32 gigabytes but going with a dual stick, if I want to upgrade to 64, I just have to double up those sticks and I should be good to go. And that is the plan at some point in the future. Now the 1080 Ti was something that I picked up, like I said, right before the cryptocurrency boom. Originally, I had built a computer with a GTX 970, the Gigabyte WindForce, and then I picked up a second one of those secondhand from somebody for a pretty good price. I ran those in SLI for a while, and that's when SLI kind of started to fall away and a lot of games weren't supporting it, and got a good profit share bonus from work one year, and I thought, I'm going to get a 1080 Ti, get a nice upgrade, and then I won't have to upgrade for the next, couple of years. And what a great purchase that was. This 1080 Ti is still holding up today, still kicking ass in games. I can get over 100 FPS in most AAA titles. Certain games I can get even higher than that, and it has been absolutely great. My power supply, I had originally got it because it was a fantastic deal, and I had heard very good things about EVGA, their customer service, and the quality of their products, so I decided to go for it, and I couldn't be happier. This power supply works fantastic. I've never had a single issue with it, and I plan to continue to use it for the next little while. And the case, as I mentioned, the O11 Dynamic was a gorgeous case, but it wouldn't fit my air cooler, so I waited and I waited until the XL came out. And once it finally did, I hopped on it right away, picked it up, and it was actually right after, maybe about a month or so after I had rebuilt my computer with the 3900X, so it actually worked out pretty nicely, and that's when I remodeled my entire room as well. Well, remodeled. I'm in an unfinished basement. I cleaned up a little bit. I threw some tapestries on the wall, got a nice shag carpet for the floor here, built a desk. Huge desks, a 7-foot, 40-inch desk, pretty good, and yeah, it's been pretty great so far. Now, as I mentioned, I had moved my original gaming computer, 4790K. I moved that down to the streaming computer, and then I upgraded to the 3600 because those extra cores were going to be very helpful for me because I was using the CPU as the encoder. And I only had a measly GTX 950 in there, and that was just because that's what I had laying around. I didn't really have the extra money to buy a whole new graphics card for it. Come spring, when COVID hit and I was stuck at home, I decided to upgrade to the 3600, and then I thought the 3600 is doing pretty well. I used that for about a month or two on its own with the GTX 950, and I thought I could really use a GPU with the NVENC encoder so that I can use the NVENC as the recording encoder for my streams. So I ended up picking up a 1650 Super MSI Trio. Picked it up for 180 bucks Canadian. Pretty good. And it's been absolutely wonderful. It runs pretty quiet. And I have a intake fan on the 200R that's pointing like basically right onto the card, so it keeps it pretty cool. The 200R was just something that was on sale, and I picked it up. I knew it was a really solid, just super budget case. I picked it up for I think like 60 bucks. Easy to build in, not the easiest to keep the cable management nice and clean, but it's a sleek little stealthy case that's on the bottom of the shelf, which is a modified shelf from IKEA that I actually chopped to be a little bit shorter because the legs were originally too tall and I didn't really like it. But it was hard for me to find a nice two-tiered shelf that would fit both computers on there, so that's what I ended up doing. Now for future plans to upgrade, I do plan on upgrading the gaming computer. I originally wanted to do the 5900X. Right now it's not currently in my budget, but once I do upgrade, I plan on moving the 3900 down to the streaming computer and playing around with that and maybe using the streaming computer to also do my video editing. I'm not really sure right now, but that is the plan. It's good because I do want to use the new Asus Hero Dark X570 motherboard, and that has just come out. So in the next couple months when I decide to upgrade, hopefully that'll be at a more reasonable price and it'll be available. I'll be able to pick it up. I also do plan on upgrading the 1080 Ti. It's been an absolute workhorse, but I do really want to experience some games that are using ray tracing. I was originally going to pick up a 3080, but with everything that's going on, and I'm intensely saving for a house, so I really don't have a lot of extra cash. So I've kind of put that project aside, and I think it'll be a good idea if Nvidia decides to move from the Samsung dies to the TSMC. I'm just gonna wait. I'm gonna see what happens next year. I'm in no rush. Like I said, the 1080 Ti is still doing a really great job, and I haven't really been in a rush to upgrade anything because things are doing well now. I do wish the streaming computer had a little bit more muscle behind it, because when I am streaming, it is getting pretty up there because I stream at a pretty relatively high bit rate and I try to keep the quality high, but I'm in no rush. And so I hope you found this video helpful. I hope that me talking about my computers and why I chose certain components kind of helped you get an idea of the thought process that at least I go into when building a computer and choosing components. I do have a bit of a bias towards certain brands that have been really great to me in the past, like the Asus motherboards, my EVGA power supply. I do plan on going EVGA for my next GPU as well, but I do really look at value and quality of build. I'd rather pay a little bit extra for a better quality product than save a few bucks and have to deal with headaches and issues going down the road. But if you have any questions or comments about today's video, or you want to ask me about anything else about my computer, leave a comment down in the section below. I try to answer every comment as quickly as I possibly can, so if you leave them down there, I will be sure to answer. If you want to have more of a discussion, I'd happy to have you in the Discord. We can have a little bit more of a back and forth. Everybody talks about their builds, their plans, new tech that's coming out, all that kind of stuff. Link in the video description for that. And as always, I stream on Twitch from Friday until Tuesday. Come check me out, come say hello. I'll be streaming Cyberpunk, and I'll actually be streaming on Thursday this week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I'll probably be streaming Cyberpunk. Come check me out, come say hello. If you have any questions, you can ask me them there, and I'll try to answer them live for you. But thanks again for making it to the end of the video. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys next Friday.